You are measuring the wrong thing and it is killing your sales. Welcome back to another episode of the Bind Files Live. And I'm going to talk in this episode about why what you're measuring is probably not serving your sales, your productivity, your commissions, and your income. Too often, we are way too focused on the outcome and not the activity. We are measuring only the outcome and not the activity. What do I mean by this? A lot of times we look at GWP, how much premium did we write? A lot of times we look at number of policies sold. We look at revenue on a monthly basis. We look at all these things, or closing ratios. That's another big one. We look at closing ratios. Did I close 30% or 40%? Did I write 10,000, 20,000, 30,000? All of these metrics, all these numbers are outcome numbers. It is not measuring the right thing. It is not measuring the thing that leads to the outcome. Why is this a problem? Imagine for a second that you wanted to lose 20 pounds. Your goal, the outcome you want, is 20 pounds lost. If every day you wake up and step on the scale, measure your weight, that is not the same thing as measuring the things that lead to the weight loss. The number on the scale is the outcome, not the activity that leads to the outcome. If you've ever gone through a diet, a workout plan, something like that, you are measuring things that are not outcome related, they're activity related. For example, if you've downloaded MyFitnessPal or some kind of calorie tracking app in the past, you know that measuring the calories you consume and the calories you burn through exercise, through daily activity, that's the activity that you're measuring that leads to the outcome. Same thing in sales. If I want to know how much I'm going to make at the end of the month, it does not help to just check how much I've already made. I need to make sure I'm measuring the activity that reliably predicts whether or not I will achieve the result. Same thing like measuring your calories, how many calories are you consuming, how many steps are you taking, how many hours of exercise are you doing per week, knowing that a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now you're going to lose the 20 pounds. Same thing in sales. So instead of just looking at my conversion ratio, I should be asking myself, how many times am I actually asking for the sale? I should be measuring offers made per day, per week. Am I offering the line of business? Am I offering a cross sell? Am I offering a second meeting to go over their decision? The activity matters much more than the outcome when you're working towards the outcome. And I use the weight loss analogy because it's actually one that's close to my heart. When I was 18 years old, I committed to losing some weight. I was a pretty heavy set guy. And between grade 12 and first year of university, I lost 100 pounds in 12 months. And I didn't step on the scale until month 4. I trusted the process. I was measuring how many calories I was consuming. I was measuring how much activity I was taking, how often I went to the gym, how many steps I was walking, and I didn't pay attention to the scale. I just trusted that the calories and the steps would lead to the outcome that I wanted. When I stepped on the scale for the first time after 4 months, I had dropped 40 pounds. My mind was blown. That was an outcome I was hoping to get, but didn't know if I would, but the activity led to it. Same thing with your sales. You should have a minimum level of activity that you know leads to the outcome that you want. And usually that comes down to outreach. How many new conversations am I trying to start on a daily and weekly basis? Me personally, I measure how many outreaches I make per day. I do that every single day. I have a tracker. The other thing to measure, especially if you're not good at this yet, is how many times did I actually ask for the sale? My offer rate. When I have a phone call with a prospect or a client, an existing client, what's my offer rate? If you're on the service side of things and you're helping somebody through an issue that they have on their policy, maybe they requested a change, am I making an offer on that call? An offer could be a request for another line, seeing if we can get another line of business on the table if they're just a single line client. Or maybe it's an offer for a referral, an introduction. Am I asking for an introduction to someone else? That is an offer. Whatever the case is, outreach and offers. It all fundamentally comes back down to outreach and offers. Where's my next conversation coming from? Is it a networking event? Is it DMs on social media? Is it cold calling a list? Whatever it is, you got to figure that out. Whatever method works for you or whatever method works, because what you're doing now might not be working for you. But that's another topic for another day. How much outreach am I doing? Am I doing an activity today that will lead to new conversations with prospects I want to talk to? Measure that. Offer rate. Am I making offers? Am I asking for the sale? Am I asking for the referral? Am I asking for the introduction? Am I asking for the second line? I guarantee after 30 days, after a month of measuring how much activity you have for generating new conversations and how many times you're asking for business, you will have a really good data set. You will know exactly the predictable activity you need on a daily and weekly basis to hit the outcomes that you want. And the other thing that happens when you measure activity is usually it's a little convicting. You realize maybe just how little you're actually doing to arrive at the outcomes that you want. And it's a good wake up call. If today you're doing only 10 outreaches per week and only asking for the sale or asking for a second line or asking for an introduction once per week, and you're not hitting your sales target every month, you have a pretty good indication of which activity metrics need to increase. So, whether you want to lose 20 pounds or whether you want to hit your sales goals this month, this quarter, this year, stop focusing solely on the outcomes. Stop focusing solely on gross written premium, policy sold, premium written, conversion rates, closing rates, and focus more on the daily activity that leads to the outcome that you want. Sales rant done. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. I hope you go write some business and have some fun while doing it. See you next time.